Okay, class, this week we're going to continue with Wordly Wise because it's important that the more words and vocabulary that you know, the better technically you will do statistically on the AP test and on any of your placement exams that you now have coming up for college. So we're going to work on Book 12. We're going to specifically work on Lesson 14. So the first word we have is acerbic. Acerbic means biting or stinging in tone or sarcastic. So think of it as something, it's like a bitter comment. It's meant to sting, it's meant to hurt, but also at the same time it's very much supposed to be sarcastic. So it's acerbic. Canard is a groundless report or story, often one made up deliberately to deceive. So a groundless story means that there is no fact behind it. So it's lacking the evidence, and it's meant to deceive someone. So it's usually something that focuses on fake news. It's something that happens around April Fool's Day. So it doesn't have that aspect of evidence behind it. Debonair is elegant in appearance and charming in manner. So I bet that many of you were dressed up in a debonair fashion for prom. So you looked elegant, you definitely had charm going on, and you definitely had some appearance and fashion that was taking place. Deign is to lower oneself in one's own estimation or to condescend. So if you deign somebody, you're lowering them. You're making them feel worse, and you're making them be lower than you are. So you're making yourself higher than them by climbing on their back, basically, and making them feel worse. So if you're deigning someone, you're condescending them, you're insulting them, you're making them feel worse. Dotage is a mental deterioration associated with advanced age. So often a dotage can be as a result of Alzheimer's, it can be as a result of getting older, it could be as a result of dementia. But it's that idea of that as someone gets older, their mental capacity starts to deteriorate. So dotage is the word that works there. Foist is to impose something unwanted or unneeded on an unwilling recipient. So if you're foisting something on someone, you're forcing them to do it. It's like in my class, I'm foisting these videos on you. I'm forcing you to do them. Slavery is something that's foisted on people as well. Insipid is it's tasteless or uninteresting. So if something is insipid, it has no flavor, it has no taste, it's boring, it's not something you want to do. Oh, I don't really want to do that tonight. That's insipid. It's something that you have no familiar, and not no familiar, so you have no interest in. Misconstrue is to misunderstand or misinterpret. So if you misconstrue something, you're taking the story and you're not understanding it. So a lot of times this is where you misconstrue things on the test. You understand them. You misunderstand it. You don't necessarily interpret it correctly, so you have to ask questions so that you're not misconstruing it. The next one, narcissism. It's excessive admiration of oneself. So it makes you feel so good about yourself. It's like you have such a huge ego about yourself. Being narcissist is not necessarily a good thing because it's off-putting to others. It makes others not want to hang out with you and be around you if you have that excessive admiration of oneself. Usually someone who's a narcissist also talks about themselves in the third person. Overweening. Overweening is the idea of it excessively proud or lacking restraint. So if someone's excessively proud of something, then they are lacking restraint. So they don't hold their tongue, they don't hold back on what they want to say or how they want to act, and that makes them overweening. A pion. The A and the E and the A in there sounds like a pion. So the idea of it sounds more like an I and an A. It's just the way it's pronounced. It's a hymn of joy, praise, or appreciation. So oftentimes pions are what we sing at church. It's what we sing in praise of something. Okay, so like the Ode to Joy is definitely a pion. Repartee is a conversation marked by quick and witty verbal exchanges. So that idea of when you have that conversation, and it's kind of like you're playing verbal volleyball, is like you're passing the words back and forth with each other, or ping pong. And it's the idea that you have that witty verbal exchange, and it's quick. It's usually got some sarcasm going on in there as well. Rapine is to express deep sadness or discontent, to long for something that you've lost. So rapine is the idea that you're mourning for the loss of something. It's like that deep sadness, that discontent, that you're not really sure where to go or how to feel about it. Sartorial is relating to clothing, especially tailored clothing. So when you dress in a debonair manner, you usually do so by wearing sartorial clothing because it's tailored. The tuxes that the guys rented, or the suits, if you bought them, you had them tailored to fit you correctly. Same thing with the girls' dresses. They made sure that it cinched their waist correctly, that it held in certain places correctly, that it went to the right length on their legs. It's definitely the idea of sartorial clothing. Svelte is slender and graceful and having sleek lines. So 3 of our words this week go together: debonair, sartorial, and svelte. Svelte is the idea of how the sleek lines look, the way the lines go on the dress, the way it sits on the hips, the way it sits on the body. Okay, the same thing it can be for the tuxes as well, or the men's clothing, the way it slenderizes them, the way it looks graceful. The same thing with the girls as well. Okay, you will have a quiz on this on Friday. AP class will have this combined with the poetry stuff that we're doing this week for a little bit larger quiz on Friday. The honor students will just have the vocabulary. Okay, see you in class tomorrow.